Well, hello there.
Hello.
Join Lillian and Kelly if you
If you
truly
choose.
care.
I'm sorry, I'm supposed to harmonize, but that ain't my.
I'm gonna need you to get it together.
I just make out the number.
You make out the number. What does that mean?
That's what they say at
Oh,
church. You just need people to make out the number.
you're a co-host today. I'm so glad
I,
you're a
I couldn't
co-host
think of
today.
I couldn't think of nothing sassy at all today.
Oh,
So
I'm so glad you're a
I started to
co-host.
put an Easter poem, but
Happy Easter, friend. Happy
happy
Easter.
Easter. He is risen. He
Is he?
arose on the third day. Oh, oh, oh.
The tomb was moved.
Right. The stone was rolled away.
So what's wrong with the
It was rolled away.
Oh gosh. Ooh.
You feeling?
I'm good. My back is really, really hurting me. But better than earlier this week. So,
I'm glad you off the sick and shut in.
hey, sometimes it bees that way, right?
But listen, I was telling somebody, your mind don't tell you your age, your body do.
Listen. And you know that they have those things where they tell what your body age is. And
I am in my 80s.
it's, honey, it has to be even higher for me because yeah,
Right.
I'm definitely older than what my actual age is, because
Right.
and that's
It's the
crazy.
struggle
That's
is real.
crazy. That's
Struggle
crazy.
is real.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right, friend. Well,
All right. All
hello,
right.
everyone out there. Welcome to Mike's, Moms, and Mayhem. We had to get our little mayhem out the way. Welcome to another episode. I am Kelly, your co-host.
And I am Lillian, also the co-host.
Woo, we're co-hosting today.
Right.
We are here to speak truth with love. That's what we try to do each week to all of our listeners. And I hope that each week we are gaining more followers and more listeners. And I hope that you all are enjoying our podcast out there. It's just conversations that two really good friends have each week. And so we want to have others join in on those conversations. And this week is nothing different. So last week we talked about the ivory tower is not for everyone. That was a topic I think my dear friend here needed some healing and probably some closure, hopefully. It was definitely something that resonated. I know we spoke for women, but for people generally, that once you think that you have gotten to this level or to the ivory tower, so to speak, um, you outgrow that. You've worked hard to get to that place. And once you get to that place, it doesn't align with what your dreams and aspirations are. You have evolved, you have grown from experiences, from life. And just realize that what you're doing is not fulfilling. And there are things that you want to do outside of that. So for those of you who've missed that episode, we invite you to find that episode on the many different platforms that we have: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and anywhere that you want to listen to our podcast. That episode is on there, and that is the Ivory Tower is not for everyone. So again, we focused on the inner struggle of staying in a system that no longer aligns with our purpose. The message was to dream more while still honoring where you are. So today's episode, I think we're going to take it one step further. We're still speaking on systems that weren't built for us. We're discussing something that I think is also going to resonate with a lot of us. We are discussing unpacking power and fragility, a Black woman's perspective on white masculinity. I'm gonna let us just sit in that for a minute, right? Unpacking power and fragility, a Black woman's perspective on white masculinity. What it feels like to be overqualified and still passed over. to shrink so others are comfortable. And I know that we've hit on those topics in previous episodes, but I think we're definitely going to dive in this a little bit more. What do you think about this topic, friend?
Look, we might both be crying at the end of this one because listen, we are going to dive a little deeper this week, but we want to be clear. This is not an episode about bashing. It's just about unpacking. It's about our lived experiences. It's about naming what it feels like to be overqualified and overlooked, to have the degree, the skills, and the proven track record, and still be
Mm,
asked to wait your turn. It's not, well, just hold on. Well, the next time, that kind of thing. So if you've ever had to dim your light to survive a boardroom, you won't want to miss this one. We want to focus on the external systems that reward white male comfort and undermine Black women's leadership. It's
hmm.
time to name the power dynamics, not shrink in them. Name them, not shrink in them. So recording that Ivory Tower video last week was the first step. So that's our foundation. And this week in Unpacking Power and Fragility, we're going to deepen that conversation by turning the lens on why the Ivory Tower feels too tight, who it was actually built for.
So we're definitely going to share some real stories from our professional journey. We are currently in higher ed, but we have had other professions or other experiences that has led us to working in higher ed. But we're going to talk particularly about moments where we've witnessed these systems that we're talking about that prioritize comfort over competence. It's not easy to talk about. This is probably going to be a hard one. For me, this is the first time that I have ever shared this experience. I don't think I have ever shared this experience. So it's about the structure that allows certain people to rise no matter what and make others feel like they have to shrink to survive.
Mhm.
And I think one of the reasons why this topic stood out for me is because of current situations that's going on in our administration, where you see incompetent people receive some of the highest titles or in the highest office, and there's no competency there at all. We see the only reason why they are in their office is because they are white and they are male. Um, we have seen where the competent or the experienced or the person that actually should be in these positions removed to be replaced by incompetent white males,
Yeah,
right?
because it's one thing to not get the job. It's one thing to be removed and then replaced by who's just not
Correct,
compensated.
correct.
You're
I mean,
right.
all of
Yeah,
that, all of
yeah.
that. So, um, yeah, this one made such a nerve, for some, but
We're gonna go there.
yep.
And as you're listening to this, if it makes you uncomfortable, that's okay. Growth lives in discomfort, and our goal today is just to be honest, not hostile, even though it may come across as hostility, because yeah, we is human and we do have feelings.
Hmm.
But we really just want to shine a light on this, not really cast a shadow. So we hope that you'll stay with us and reflect with us, think about your own experiences. Hopefully, like sis said, this will be some ripping off some band-aids so those wounds can heal a little bit.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, hopefully.
yeah. Well,
Um,
speaking of ripping off Band-Aids, right? Here we go. Maybe 20 something years ago. Again, this is my first time ever saying this out my mouth. So, I was a top administrator at a nonprofit organization. I was running a large program division. I oversaw 26 programs, and I had maybe 200 plus employees working under me. That consisted of full-time and part-time staff. I went through a series of interviews in the position that I ran. Um, After school and summer were our largest population of students. And so I remember interviewing set of staff to go to the different programs. And it was one particular person that I interviewed, I think just to work in the program. I don't think he was to lead the program, if I'm not mistaken. But I think he just was working in the program. So I remember interviewing him, and he had that charisma. He was involved in the community. And so he was well acquainted with who he would be working with, the population that he would be working with. He definitely fit what we were looking for to be a part of that specific program. So he was trained in his role. I was over professional development as well for all of our staff. Every quarter, I did the professional development to make sure everybody was up to date in all of their trainings in order to be able to provide the services that we did for our students. So over time, in his role, he connected with the community. Most of them were well known within the organization. After a while, as we went through the program, there were some talks and some rumblings about the CEO going to step down or move. There was nothing definitive about it, but again, just talks and rumblings of it. Well, maybe 6 months, 8 months into this gentleman being a part of this organization, he was moved to become my boss. 6 to 8 months in, he was moved to become my boss. I interviewed him, I trained him, taught him what he needed to know. We built a working relationship. But little did I know that he was also building other relationships as well within the organization. And so that included the CEO, that included the board. So the promotion took place. And once he was promoted in this position, it then came out that this guy had no education or very little education compared to me, who was once his supervisor. Now he was my supervisor. So he did not have the same education as I did. Um, he did not have experience. I had been in this organization for 3 years, 3 or 4 years at this point. I had worked my way up from program manager all the way up to, like I said, one of the top administrators. I was overseeing a whole division, right? Not a department, a whole division, 26 programs, right? 200 plus staff. And somebody who came in to work under me just as a part-time person came in and was promoted to become my boss. So you can only imagine thoughts. There was no conversation with me, with the CEO. There was no, hey, this is going to happen. Hey, we're looking at this. It was, this is happening. Oh, okay. So when he took his position, we had meetings probably 2 or 3 times a week just so he can get acclimated to his position. But in those meetings, everybody can kind of guess what happened in those meetings. He was asking what he should do, what he should know, how should he do this job. Um,
Hmm.
he was bringing in other staff, asking them questions on what to do. They had definitely been there longer than he had. And he was just asking, hey, what should I do? How does this work? How do we do this? And the more and more that happened, again, you said in the beginning, we're human, right? And so we have these feelings, have these emotions that don't necessarily probably fit where we should be right at this point. But you can only imagine the thoughts that was continuously in my head. Like, if you are in this position, if they saw whatever they saw in you in order to promote you to this position, then why are we constantly having a conversation on what to do, how to do this? What is this policy? Where do we go to find this? Those were the questions that were continued to ask in these meetings that we had. Well, once he felt that like he knew enough, so then he didn't need to ask these questions anymore. So he didn't need my input. And so at that point, it was, now you're a threat to me, pretty much, right? Um, and then that is when it started to become very hostile. He literally made what he called a war room, and we had to meet weekly in this war room in order to pound out different programs. And he was trying to implement different policies that made no sense, that was clearly something that was made up due to his level of incompetence, right? um and just to share the makeup and the profile of where I worked, um at that time it was very small town, but it came from old money, right? So old money usually means old white men who pretty much ran the town or ran the city. Wherever you drive, you'll see them owning buildings. You'll see them owning all these commercial properties or these commercial buildings. They were all in real estate. They were all investors. Anywhere you go, you'll see these names. Well, these were the people that made up the board. And the chairman of the board was the big realtor investor. The name on the building was the biggest investor in this city. So that is the makeup of the board of this community. So in essence, I did not fit that mold in order to be the next person to make it up to the next level, right? Um, After he had been in this position, maybe 2 to 3 months, it did come out that the CEO was moving. He was moving to another position, and they were going to look for his replacement. Well, we all knew at this point, if he moved to this position, then we all automatically knew this guy eventually became the CEO of this organization. Well, at that point, I was done. Again, I was never considered. Why would I be considered? Again, I had more education, I had more experience, I had more this, I had more that. I had done the professional development, I had wrote trainings, I had gone to professional development to get certified in trainings. I was the trainer of the trainers. I was certified in all these areas to be able to do all of this. So it would just be a natural progression that I would make this. Did not happen at all. And so you start to think, when you look at what's going on in the White House, and not only at the White House, but just across the board throughout the country, how you look at all of these very prominent, very experienced Black women that are being overlooked for roles that they are more qualified for, more experienced, more educated, just to have a white male be placed in the position over a Black woman. And so this triggered so much because this was the first thing that popped in my head. This was something that I've never talked about, that I never shared, that I didn't have the words for 20 years ago. But 20 years later, I now have the words power and fragility, right? I have the words incompetent over qualified. I have these words that I now can say, this is what happened. Why, as a Black woman of Black excellence, I didn't know I had Black excellence then, right? Because that turning inward thing, that's, this is what it's supposed to be. Even though I held my ground in those war rooms, I know it did not feel right. I just did not have the confidence, or I don't even know if I even felt that it was going to do anything because I knew where we were. Right. So eventually I did leave because there was no way that I was going to work under this man for any reason at all, because I knew that he got there only because he was a white male. And I see that it continues 20 years later. You have shared so many times where you were overlooked when you were definitely qualified. So, do you have any similar experience that you can share?
Unfortunately, yes. And I think to your point, it's the same-ish, different day. We just didn't necessarily have the verbiage to name it or classify it what it was. And then to a certain degree, not even the confidence, but the protection to be able to name it what it was. Because
Mm,
we know as ooh, diverse as we think we are, this is still a man's world.
it is.
And for some reason, it's all about protecting the fragility. And it blows me away that across so many industries,
Mhm,
it's never about hiring who is truly the most qualified person to
mm-mm,
do a good job. It's always about politics or
mhm,
this
mhm.
person, well, this was my protege. Well, I promised him this, or it's just all these little backdoor things that, we just didn't have a leg in on. They talk about playing the game, but we have to know what the game is in order to play it. And so for, especially those many years ago, we didn't know the rules of the game. We drunk the Kool-Aid. Um,
Child.
and we thought that we were equal. As you were talking, this reminded me Native Land podcast, which you put me on, girl, and I love it. But they were talking about this a little bit last week. Respectability politics, because a lot of times
Mm,
we're just overlooked because we don't look the role. Here we come with our natural hair and our big earrings and our big attitude and our stiletto nails and our lashes done right. I'm thinking Jasmine Crockett, right?
yeah.
And if we
Yeah.
don't look the part, they don't want to give us a chance. Even though if you put us down paper to paper, we are blowing our counterparts out of the water, but we don't look a
Yes.
certain way. We don't articulate things the way they want to, or we don't buy into the systems that they buy into. And so we do get overlooked. And, you know, I think what's so hurtful in this is understanding, for me, my story is very similar to yours, where you bring in someone and you having to train them and they're asking you what to do and you're helping them get acclimated. And then it's like, once they know just a little bit, then they just feel like, I don't need you no more. Then the whole
Correct.
dynamic changes. Then there's this
Correct.
hostility, there's this
Ooh,
competition built in all of a
ooh.
sudden. And you're like, I helped you, you know? Um, but it's just like, it's not even about what you know or who you know. It's about optics a lot of times. You and I were talking about this, one of our little off the grid conversations last week when we were talking about they don't even want qualified people seemingly to do these roles. It's more about, are you going to just respect the protocols and are you just going to do, status
What I
quo,
want. Yeah, what I
what I
want you to
want you to
do.
do?
Mhm,
I want,
mhm.
and ultimately they don't, they want someone they can control. They don't want somebody to
Yeah,
come there and do a good job. They want somebody
right,
they can control and they know
right,
they can't control us.
right.
And what's really terrifying is to see this happening in real time. We drunk the Kool-Aid and we believed the lies that they told us, which was if you want the position, you got to get the degree. We got the degree,
Mm,
we did the committee, we chaired this,
mm.
we volunteered for that, and all types of things. And then when the opportunities come, they go to someone who don't even have anywhere near the same level of credentials that we have. Um, and again, it's not about making organizations better, it's about keeping them the way they are. And I heard somebody
Mm.
say this last week. It's almost like, we don't mind if y'all have something, you just can't have
What we have.
what we have, kind of thing. And so here we are thinking we're getting a little bit, or they think we're getting a little bit closer to what they want. And there's
Leg
this,
up.
this fragility, literally this fragility. And I've seen grown ass white men throw temper tantrums. I'm in charge. I'm running this, not you, that kind of stuff. And you
That's
just
what
be
he
sitting
did.
there
That's what he did. Yes, that's what he did.
like
Oh,
everybody
rebel
knows you're in
side.
charge.
Yeah.
Just finally got to the point where my stance would be, your job is safe. I
Right.
don't want your job. I'm trying to be somewhere different or over you. And you so busy thinking I'm trying to steal your trade secrets, the secrets that I gave you, the game I put you on, not
Right.
realizing I'm credentialing myself and putting myself in a position where I actually should be beyond you.
Yeah.
And
Beyond.
not just
Yeah.
with positions, but I've had that happen to me with pay before.
Mm,
So I applied for a
mm.
job at a state agency. And when you don't know, you don't
You
know.
know,
But
yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
know how. This was my first time transferring from one state agency to another, and I didn't know
Mhm.
how that process worked.
Yes,
And I was
yes.
looking for a job because where I was working was just really volatile. It wasn't a good fit for me. And I was like, I have got to get out of here. And I was looking for anything. And
Mhm.
I came across this job. And I remember when I saw the pay of the job, I said, this is going to be the job they offer me because the pay's so low. And I'd be darned, right? So I got
Right.
called, I got an interview for the job. Um, and I remember I was talking to the white man who was hiring for this position. And I remember talking to him about my qualifications. And I was hella overqualified for this position at this
Yeah.
point. And I knew
Yeah.
that. He
Yeah.
knew that. And
Yeah.
I remember talking to him about the salary. And I said, I saw on the thing that the salary was negotiable. And he looked me dead in my face and said, it is. But I know I'll find somebody who will take it for that lowest amount. So I'm not willing to change it. And this was me at that time, right? I was like, noted, right? In my mind, I was gonna knock your socks off where you were gonna be like, I gotta have her, so I'm gonna have to pay her money. Cause that was my stance. Like, oh, by the time I get done, because back
Yeah.
then
I'm
in that
good.
industry, we used to have to do like working interviews where you like
Mhm.
work for a day, kind of see how it works, let them see your skills kind of thing, which is
Oh,
crazy
okay.
now that I think about it. Free labor, but that's what we used to have to do.
Right,
And
right.
so I was like, I'm gonna come in this door and I'm gonna knock your lock off and you're gonna have to give me my money, right? And so I did the interview, everything went good, and I never heard anything back. Never heard anything back. A couple weeks later, I get a phone call from a black woman in HR. And this is what she said. I'll never forget. She called me and I answered the phone and she was like, um, did you get a letter from us saying that we didn't want you from a position? I said, no, I didn't. She said, I don't know you from a can of paint and you don't know me. And I hope I'm not overstepping. But she said, I just want to say God is good all the time. And then she paused and I was just like, and all the time, God is good. Because, that call and response.
Right,
I was like, and
right,
all the
right.
time, God is good. She was like, girl, if you get that letter, tear it up because they want you. They want you to put this position, right? And here I am like, let's back up, sis. Let's back up. What I'm sorry, I was supposed to get a letter saying that I didn't
You
get the job.
wouldn't? Right.
Right. I never got the letter. And she was like, yeah, they interviewed somebody else and they want to go with that person, but it didn't work out. So they want you and da 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 da. Ain't God good? And I was like, not really,
Right,
because
right.
um
Second person, right? I'm an afterthought.
I'm not Miss Congeniality. Like, and that was the
You
position
said
I
that
took.
last week. That was so funny. Oh my
Girl,
God.
I'm
Yes.
not. I'm not your runner up. Like I'm supposed to be like, oh
Yes.
my God, wait, y'all
Thank
called the wrong
you.
name. It was really
Thank
me.
you. Right.
No, and that's what I told her. I was like, "Yes,
Yeah.
sis, you're gonna have to miss me on this one." I was like, "Because if I wasn't good enough then, I'm not good enough now. Because nothing about me has changed."
Mm,
Girl, you talking about dumbfounded and befuddled? She was just like,
right.
"So you don't want it?" I was like, "No, I'm cool."
Right. The
And so she
nerve.
was like, "You sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm sure." And she was like,
The nerve.
"Okay." Call
Audacity.
ended. Call ended. Girl, a couple hours later, I get a call from the man that I interviewed with.
Right, right.
And he came on and he was like, "Hey, this is so and so." And I was just like, "Hey." And he was like, "Okay, okay, I made a mistake. I made a mistake." And I'm just praying. This is what he said to me. And I'm just praying that the God that I serve is is bigger than the mistake that I made because I'm hoping you will forgive me.
Oh,
And So
For
what he told me was, he said, and this is what he told me, he said, it was never an issue of whether or not you were the most qualified. You were the most qualified. He said, honestly, mind you, I didn't know this at the time. Because I was already in a state agency and I was transferring from one position to another, my salary was going to go with me. I didn't know that.
Mhm, mhm.
So when I saw this job and I saw what the lowest posting was, in my mind, I looked at the low part of the salary, which she said, I'm
Mhm,
not going to change it because somebody
mhm,
will take it. And I
mhm.
looked at what I was making and I subtracted the difference and I divided it by two. And I
Yeah,
said, that was what I was going to ask for, right?
yeah.
Because I know I can't ask for what I'm making because that's way out of the range. So I just asked for them to meet me halfway between what
Mhm.
I would make and what I was making there. And so he told me, you were making more money than half of my team who had been here for over 20 years at this point. He said, I just didn't want no drama. I just didn't want a mess. And you know me, I was like, what they got to do with me? What they got to do with me? Right. And so he was like, I made a mistake. He was like, it should have always been you, blah, 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 blah. Right. And you know me at this point,
Mm.
make me an offer I can't refuse
Correct.
because now the thing has changed, right? And so, long story short, I did end up taking the job because he said, I made a mistake and I know that my whole team wanted you. I just was afraid. And he said, I actually had a meeting with my whole team. He said, I brought him in and he said, I just need y'all to know this person is already in the state. And because of the rules and regulations from transferring from one position to another, because basically it was like a lateral transfer,
Mhm.
um, you know, and mind you, he put my business out there, not me,
Right,
right? But he
right.
basically told his team, like, this lady is gonna come in the door making way more money than about 95% of everybody that was here. And they were like, we don't care. We just need the help. We need somebody good. We liked her, bring her in.
Yeah.
And so, I made them sweat a little bit, but I eventually took the job. But I said all that to say, this idea of, I know you're the best person for the job, but you're going to command this money and create these problems. So I'm willing to take the least qualified person for the job just so I don't have to pay you what you're worth, or let my team see you come in and really show them that they're getting underpaid for what they're worth. And so that fragility looks like a lot of different things. It's not just overlooking us for the position because we're qualified, but because you don't want to give us our coins and you don't want to
Mhm.
give us our flowers. Also, in this conversation is when you do get the job, but then you find out you're being paid way less and nowhere even near the realm of equal to your counterparts. Because if we both have the credentials, if we both have the degrees, if we both have the titles, then we should have a very equitable pay. And we would also see situations where the pay was not equitable as well. And that whole, we don't discuss salary. Let me tell y'all something. If you go into an organization and they say we don't discuss salary, that's already
Everybody
telling you
know.
right there,
Correct.
there's a lot of inequity and they know it's going to make people pissed
Yeah,
off. But
yeah.
because we work for the state is open reporting,
Correct.
so we can find out each other's salaries. So
Right.
again, don't sit here and piss on me and tell me it's raining
Woo, honey.
because you are underpaying me by a substantial amount because of my counterpart. And another way that kind of looks like, so it's not just getting overlooked for positions, it's also when I complete my credential and I get to this next level, then you have the audacity to look me in my face and say, but how does that apply to this job?
Right.
Like, that's cute you went and got that degree. That's cute. That's like in the grand scheme of life, that's going to benefit you. Right. How does that actually apply to this job?
Today.
Because I can't
Right.
pay you for that, or we can't pay you for that because what does that look like over here? Right. Whereas my white male counterparts come in the door having a degree in religion, golf course studies, agriculture, and you're sitting here like, now tell me how this works in
Compared.
this
Yeah.
industry, right? But it didn't matter what degree they
I
had,
had.
as long as
Yeah.
they had a degree,
Yep.
then I get a degree. And now you're gonna sit here and like fine tooth my degree and want to see like what classes did you take? How does that actually apply to what we're doing here? So that fragility looks like a lot of different
Yeah.
things. And that's
Yeah.
the part that is so hurtful. It's just all your life you were told. We've all seen the commercials, we've all seen the ads about how college graduates make more than people who don't. And then you graduate and you don't get your coins, you don't get your money, you don't get your due.
Yeah.
And it's like, so I'm good enough to train you and help you be successful in the job, but I wasn't good enough to be successful in it myself. And a little different from your perspective that I had is I actually had um, a Black woman who I thought was my mentor. I found out later she wasn't.
Mhm.
But I thought she was my mentor, and I remember her like she was grooming me for this position that I didn't get, and her telling me like, "You're my plan B, you're my contingency because they're gonna want
Yeah,
this white man.
yeah,
But girl, you
yeah.
always gotta have a plan B." And I was just sitting here like, somebody done look what Martin says, somebody done told you wrong, because I'm never the plan B, and if I can't be in a space that acknowledges me as the plan A, that's not my space.
Right, right.
But like you said, we didn't have verbiage for that back then. We really didn't. We really didn't.
One thing that I want to piggyback on dealing with the pay, I remember when I got this position, this was the most that I made like ever, right? We've talked at great length about pay and where I am and how I feel. Yeah, definitely don't get me started on that. But this was the most that I got paid. But I remember I was taking somebody else's place that also left. And yeah, they had long-term experience in these types of organization. But like I said, I worked my way up. I had the degree. I even had a higher degree than my previous boss. I think she was just at a bachelor's. And again, I've had my master's for, several years at that time. It was in psychology. Psychology is that broad degree. So you pretty much go anywhere using that. But it was the experience that I've also worked my way up from. And I've showed, like you said last week, at stellar reviews. I didn't have any knocks on my staff profile. And so I was just given this point blank pay, which was still under what my previous boss was making, and I had more education than
Mhm,
she had.
mhm.
But the experience, I guess, I don't know. And it's so funny how I don't think that there was no formula, no scale. It's just, let me just give her this, and she
Right.
should be happy
She'll
with.
do it, she'll do it, right.
Right,
And if
she
you
should be
notice,
happy.
the way it's set up, a lot of positions and have you ever experienced this when you apply for a job and they wanna know what your current salary is?
Yeah,
What
I
the
never put
hell
it there. I
what
never
the
put it.
hell what I make now got to do with what Imma make when I get over
Right,
there?
right,
Let me tell
especially
you
if
what
you
I'm
see
looking to make.
well, especially if you see the pay, because sometimes they do put the pay associated with the title. So
Mhm.
what does my pay have to do, especially if it's gonna be less than what you're asking? Why
Listen,
would I put something?
I'm
I
in
never.
this position, I'm trying to move over to this position, but you wanna know what I make now? And that's so
Right.
you can underpay me. That's so
Yes,
you can underpay me.
yes,
And
yes.
that's not cool, and that is so not cool, and to your point,
Mm.
there are a lot of organizations where they cannot give you a quantifiable rubric of for how they're coming up with these
Correct,
salaries. They just pull
correct.
one out their butt, and or they'll say, "This is the pay range," and it'll be this wide open range, and I started to see something now that said, but typically it's going to be in the low to mid. Okay, well, what quantifiable rubric do you have to measure that? Is it okay if I could? Because typically, my thing is this: like, I'm not applying to be like president of a university,
Right, right.
but I'm never going to look at a job and be like, oh, I don't qualify that for that. You're going to have to tell me why I don't qualify for
Why?
that. Because if
Yeah,
it's something I want to do or something that I feel that I can do, I'm going to apply, right?
correct,
But if
correct.
you have this metric, and typically those positions, I'm in the preferred or exceeds preferred
Yeah,
expectation or,
yeah,
what you're looking for.
yeah.
So how am I coming in at this baseline salary? And I can do you one better. I was trying to get into this state agency several years ago, and I have been applying out there years, for years, and I never got an interview. I never got a call, nothing. And my husband was like, "Darn, do you know anybody?" Is that like I couldn't find nobody, couldn't figure nothing out. Never couldn't figure out, who to talk to figure out what's going on. And I finally got in touch with one of my homegirls that I went to school with who was working out there. And this is what she said to me, sis, and I will never forget it. She said, "Are you putting your master's degree down on the application?" And I was like, "Of course I am." And she was like, "That's where you messing up. You coming in the door with a credential most of the people who are gonna be your bosses don't have. Take it off." And I was like, "You gotta be kidding me." I came home, I told Hubs about it. He was like, "That's some bullshit." But I took a position came up, I applied, and I didn't put I had a master's, and I promise you I got a call back. So it's this fragility of I can't let you come in having equal to or more than me, because then I ain't gonna be able to tell you to do nothing, or you trying to tell me stuff. And the fact that when I go in there and I'm good, everybody's praising me for this great job that I'm doing. Oh my gosh. Oh, we're so glad you, this is so good. We're gonna be able to do some things. One of my homegirls, we worked at this agency together, and she was up. When I tell you, this girl was dope. She knew her stuff. She was in the compliance side of the house, and she
Mhm.
knew her policies. She knew her stuff. She worked her way up. She got this position. And so we would have, in this particular industry, there was a lot of doctors and professionals. Everybody was a doctor. She has since started working on her doctorate, so she should be about through now. But this is back then when she had like 2 masters, all these certifications, all these credentials, all this stuff,
Mhm.
but she didn't have the doctorate. And so she would have to go in and kind of tell these doctors, like, this is why this is wrong. Here's what the compliance policy is. Here's how we're out of compliance. We got to get in compliance. Here's a way to do this, because she would audit these processes.
Mhm.
And girl, they looked at her, and one of them actually opened his white ass mouth to ask her, why should we listen to the least qualified person in the room?
And they think that they can say anything
And
to
if you say something back, you're insubordinate. If you say something back, you're difficult. If you say something back, you're, oh, that one, she's a little spitfire. She's a little aggressive. Oh, she's a little angry.
aggressive, honey,
You
aggressive.
know,
Woo!
I walked in, I overheard some people talking about me one time, and, oh, you better watch that attitude. And I walked right by 'em. Hey, how y'all doing? And honey, you could have heard a rat piss on cotton, because they didn't expect me to hear what they were saying. And here's where you could miss me, right?
Wait,
Don't
wait,
you
wait.
put
Go back to the store before you get so go back to the girl, to the friend.
what to my what happened with her?
Yes.
So basically, what she did after they told her that, she went back and was like, let me tell you why you not only will listen to me, but you have to listen to me, and you should want to listen to me. And girl, she broke it down so smooth. And then she kept it all by, like, she told them, this is da 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 da, which she shouldn't have had to do, because I wouldn't have had the job if I didn't have these minimum
Right.
requirements. But
Right.
she also said, because you have the benefit of getting me to give you this information as a product of my job, as opposed to letting this thing kick you in the face, and then you have to pay an outside consultant to come in here and tell you the same thing I'm telling you for free. So she was like, if you want to be out of compliance, if you want to be on the radar for these people and these processes, don't listen to me. But when you look next year, when we're being audited and they said we're going to bring in some outside people, then you will have to pay them my salary plus whatever their consulting fee is, for them to tell you the same thing I'm telling you now. Because I've been in industry and I knew this thing. And they started respecting her a little bit more, but it was nowhere near the respect that she needed. But it was just, again, this um expectation that we can just talk to you any kind of way. Because how you, first of all, how you set your mouth to say, why should we listen to the least qualified person in the room?
Oh,
You know why, sir? Because they made your position up. You ain't even got no real job. They just made that up to keep you quiet about some things that they knew you knew about them doing wrong anyway, and they didn't want you to blow no whistles, so they made you a position anyway, right? That kind of stuff. So it's really, and you know what? We're talking about white masculinity and the fragility of the mediocre white man, but hell, we can put them white women in there too, because they
yeah.
are just as problematic as their male counterparts. Somebody I was talking to very recently was telling me white women get to talking at work, and they talking with their whole chest, and messed around and let it slip out that she was getting paid as a licensed, certified, whatever. And come to find out, she wasn't. She was board eligible, but had never taken the boards. But because she was board eligible, they were paying her for that. And so this person was like, shut up. Okay, say it ain't so, because I'm board eligible too. Well, no, but no, what I meant, well, no, you said what you said to
Right.
HR, I go. Because, and that person went to HR and was like, so she over here talking about this, and look, telling me this, telling me that. I got the same thing she got, and I want my money, right? Because now you don't let it slip that
Right.
I really didn't need this certification, but you keep telling me, well, as soon as you get it, we'll give you this 4%. Well, she's making way more than the 4%, and she don't have the credential. And at this point, she's been doing the job so long, she's no longer
Wow.
board eligible,
Yeah.
because some hours that she needed are
Right.
expired. So
Gone. Yeah.
again, they just as bad too. They're just as bad too.
One thing that comes to mind when we talk about the white male fragility is during the campaign and the now vice president. J.D. Vance calls then Vice President Kamala Harris trash. Is she Black?
Look, and my answer to that was, look, hell, she got to be Black, because if she wouldn't, y'all wouldn't have no problem with her getting a job.
At all.
So that
At
shouldn't
all.
even be on the table.
We already know, right?
So we can take that off the table, right? But girl, first of all, this whole
out.
Our great grandchildren are going to look back at this administration, and it's going to be a meme. And the meme is going to be if mediocre white fragility was a presidential administration, right? Like, this whole thing is just bananas to me. And, I will say, I can remember when he ran the first time thinking, this is changing politics as we know it forever. Because in what world, like, even, I hate to say it this way, but politics used to be this business of honor amongst thieves. And there were just certain lows you didn't go to. There were just certain things you didn't say. And there were just certain things that weren't done just out of gentlemanly behavior. And now we've seen that blown into the water. There was just certain things you didn't do and didn't say. And now, when we were in that first presidential administration, and when Trump had made a comment about how big his thing was, I was like, our kids are watching this. And then you got a nerve to tell me, oh, we just grab them by the bleep. But then when I say the bleep word, you're like, whoa, I'm sorry, this man just made it totally okay for us to say this word with our whole chest, right? And the only reason I ain't saying it is because my little youngin run around here somewhere. He was in the back. I would say it, but I'm trying to be a good parent. But again, it changed what respect looked like. It changed the rules of the game. This idea that just because I'm a man, I have penis, I'm better than you, right? Me and my husband were talking about this the other day, because what they're really going to see in this movement of eliminating DEI, because you made the bar so high, I had to go back to school. Because you made the finish line that much further back, I had to work harder to get there. So now I have the credential, I have the experience, I have the skills, I have the certifications, I have the years on the job training, I have the skill set that you don't have. So you really actually put it in a place where, guess what, boo? I'm no longer the diversity hire. You are, because I have the degree. You don't, sir. You just got in because you just happened to play poker with the dude who was doing the hiring, or the CEO, and your daddy used to go to church together, or whatever your way in was. But if you look at us on paper, right? But if you look at us on paper, sir, I'm actually qualified. So you getting the job was the DEI hire, not me. But that's what we're heading towards. And I met a young lady today, actually. Someone, one of my cohorts, put me in touch with her, and I've adopted a new mentee. And we were talking, and I was telling her, like, I can hear what you're saying, but one of the things you have to consider is what this world is going to look like during and post this administration, because right now there are just certain things in place that are not going to be in existence in a little while. So you're sitting here working towards this thing, but you may not ever get a chance to get in, because they can look at your name on paper and be like, yeah, we don't want to do that.
Nope, right.
And and so you're out just by that, right? So I think D.L. Hughley said it best. I want to live in a world where Black people and people of color, why we got to be the exception? We got to be the Michael Jordan. We got to be the Michael Jackson. We got to be the Prince, the Beyonce, the whatever. We just can't be mediocre. White people can be mediocre and be okay. I want to live in a world where we can just be mediocre too, because Kelly and Lillian, we're actually pretty damn good on paper, but we got to be the Kamala Harris in order for them to take notice. We got to be exceptional. We just can't be regular.
But if you remember, the saying was Kamala had to be flawless while he was being lawless.
Lawless. Same thing with Barack. Barack Hussein Obama. Look, let's say his whole name.
Why are you gonna be whole name?
Because it needs to be called. I'm gonna say his name. But even the fact that all they had was he born in America? Y'all know he was born in America. Y'all know he is American. because he was holding these positions, because now he wants his bigger position. That's all y'all got? Was he even from here? Shut up.
And that's the other thing is their comeback or their justification of why not is
It,
mediocre. That's
all
all
I
you
got is,
got. That's
you
all you
trash. You're
got. Right.
trash.
That's all you got.
Whoa.
And this
Ooh.
lady was voted in every position she ever had, from what circuit, what the lower attorney
Circuit
to
court. All these.
DA.
Yeah.
Every position she had, she was voted in, but then she was still incompetent. She was
Yeah.
still trash. She was still less than. And that thing about Black women and even Black men having to go above and beyond just to get to the level where our white counterparts are.
Listen. Listen, you talking about get pissed on and tell you it's raining. I remember the position that I got overlooked for, and the white guy got hired, and I had to train him. Eventually, he decided to leave. And by the time he left the position, I had finished my doctorate, and this director position was open. And I was like, okay, here it comes. That they can't tell me nothing. Now I'm ready. And so what I did, I went and talked to the big boss who was going to be doing the hiring. So it was like us, this director, and then this big boss. And the big boss was ultimately going to make this decision. And I remember I requested a meeting with him. First of all, when I requested a meeting, his secretary was like, he want to know about what? Okay, fine. He want a bullet list of what you want to talk about. Okay, fine. Gave it in a bullet list. Took a few days, got a meeting. So when I go in there, I'm like, I just want to know, should I apply for this job? Do I have your confidence in this job? Because if you are gonna look at me and be like, yeah, I don't think you can do it, why waste my time putting in the
Yeah,
application? Because I know
yeah,
ultimately you're making a decision. So if I don't have your support on this,
ain't no
it's
need.
dead in the water.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just wanted to have a conversation. Girl, I get into his office, you don't pull my resume, you sitting here like Googling stuff on my resume. What's Panoptic? What's this? I couldn't
Right,
find a website for that because you ain't got no business
right,
looking for that.
right,
I just
right.
want to have a conversation. And so we talked, and he told, girl, he looked me in my whole face and said, I have no reservations about you doing this job. No, I think you would be great in this job. Yeah, I
Mm.
definitely think you should apply for this job. Like, no, yeah, go for it. Yeah, needless to say, I didn't get the job.
Cool. Of course,
I didn't get that job.
of course.
Sir, you could look me in my face and say, you know what? I don't even think you should waste your time. I think we're looking for something very specific, or we're looking for outside candidates because we want some new perspective. And we
Mhm.
like, tell me what it is, right? Why
It's
let me
so
go through this
they're so dishonest. They're
so
so
dishonest?
dishonest. Just, oh
And
gosh.
the person they end up hiring, they ended up firing after 6 months, didn't even make it through their probationary period. And when I finally got another job and I left, he didn't even tell me bye. I had been there for over 7 years, and he didn't even
Ah,
bother to say thank you for your service, nothing. And so my supervisor, who I again trained, when I turned in my notice to her and she had to go tell him, she said, he was like, well, did she say why she's leaving?
I'm glad that didn't come through.
Only because I'm trying to be mindful. She said she just looked at him and was like, have you heard her talk for like 5 minutes? She'd been saying she is getting up out of here. Because at that point, I had finished my doctorate. Why would I
Yeah.
girl, this is another thing I want to bring up. Because I was talking about I had finished my doctorate. Why would I want to do this job? What about when they dumb down the job that you're in? So I had been in a position where I was doing this job, and when I started the job, you had to have at least a bachelor's, master's preferred. When I left the job, they had rewritten the whole thing where all you needed was an associate's
Yes.
degree.
Oh
And then you wonder,
gosh.
girl, and then you wonder why the people who come in, you're like, ooh, yeah, because you took the standard and you lowered it because you don't want to pay people what they're worth. Let me tell you something. State of Georgia is bad about this. And if y'all think I'm lying, you can look on Team Georgia and you can look at these jobs, and they are really good titles to these jobs, right? They want counselors, they want director of this, they want that, and they want you to have the master's degree. And then the starting salary is like $36,000. And you say, you're
Right.
like, what am I
Right.
supposed to do with this? What? I can't even pay my student loan. Hey, you got to give me public service loan forgiveness because I will never be able to pay these loans
Yeah,
off. You
yeah.
want me to have 12 years? You want me to have 12 years of experience, 18 years of education, at least this certification, at least this
36,000.
degree for $36,000?
Ah, tell me those metrics. Tell me that rubric. Like you said, let me see that rubric.
Let me
Let
see
me
that
see that
rubric.
rubric.
And so what we find out is not only is there no metric, there's no rubric, and there's also no succession plan. And if you think about what that tells you, that's telling you the organization plans to continue with that buffoonery, because why wouldn't you have a plan in place to reward those loyal people who have been on the job, who have been putting in the time, they have learned about that organization, who are trying to move up? There's no
Yeah.
plan to reward that. And I remember he's since gone on to greater things, but I remember when we was at this same place and we had got a new provost, because the provost we had retired, which, girl, that's an off the grid conversation. But the provost had retired. We got this new provost, and I will never forget when he first addressed us. It was around the time we were having a lot of racial issues with the George
Mhm,
Floyd thing, and
mhm.
white lives matter too. All that stuff was happening when he came on. And I'll never forget, he got on this call where we were just talking about different issues, and he was just like, "This isn't right." He was like, "My kids hate me." He said, "Because I had to move my kids from a whole nother state to get this job. And while I'm thankful that I got this job," he said, "You're not going to tell me that there's not somebody that's qualified right here already, that's already rooted in the community, that's already a part of this organization, that already had knowledge of this organization, that
Yeah.
couldn't have done the job just as good as I'm going to do it." That was the first time I ever heard a white man say
Wow.
that. And I
Wow.
was just like,
Come on.
"Oh, okay." But he was right. He was like, "You're not
Yeah.
gonna tell me there's not somebody here that could." He said, "Hell, my kids hate me because they had friends. They were in high school, so I done had to
Yeah.
uproot my family and
Yeah.
move them." And he was like, "I'm not saying I'm not thankful for the opportunity. I'm gonna do the best I can with it." He was like, "But there was somebody here that could have had an opportunity to shine. Why didn't we facilitate that?" And he was like, "That's the kind of stuff I'm gonna be looking at." And I was just like,
Come on.
"Okay, look, oh, okay, we listen and we don't judge. We trust what we verify." But it was the first time I heard a
Yeah.
white man articulate that, and he was absolutely right.
Yeah.
Because to his point, quiet as it's kept, what diversity is not is hiring people just because of the color
Right.
of their skin, or
Yeah.
not because of the color of their skin, right? So you
Yeah.
gonna sit here and say, now diversity don't just mean hiring all the same, but all y'all look alike. So you gonna tell me diversity is not just hiring black people, but all you've done is hire white people. So I don't understand this argument.
Yeah. 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 Ah, yeah,
And you
we
know
we
what? We said we weren't gonna do this, but what we see playing out real time, this bully mentality. You remember back on the schoolyard when we'd be on the playground, and we'd be playing, and you be doing the dozens with people, or people be yo mama this or you that, and when they don't have nothing else to say, they just go like, because they just don't ran out. This is what we see right now, right?
Yeah,
Here I
yeah.
am with my credentials. Here I am with my stuff, and I'm showing you what I got. Well, you're trash.
Oh, okay, that's all you got.
Ooh, that really hurt my feelings. Oh, wow. Like, that's all you got? You just going to
Oh,
these bullying tactics. Me and Hubs was just having this conversation this morning. The white male audacity to sit here and create a policy and don't even see how it impacts your own people, your own family. You are taking away birthright citizenship. And the last I checked, all three of the people who are quote unquote the top three people right now, either y'all married to an immigrant or is an
yeah.
immigrant. Make it make sense for me, because last I checked, one of y'all came over here on an education visa and never went back. So just because your kids were born here does not mean
Oh my
they are
god.
citizens. Oh, who knew?
Yeah.
Two of y'all married to them. So that's also a part of this white masculinity fragility. The fact that I can see how it applies to you, but I don't see how
Yeah.
it applies
Applies to me.
to
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
right? I just meant that for you, not for right. I didn't mean for the leopard to eat my face. I just wanted it to, right? My dad used to say this when Obama was in office. He would say they would. He said if Obama came to dinner, they would burn down the whole house with their family in it just to make sure they got
Yeah,
him,
you won't get it. Yeah.
just to
Shit.
get him. And this is what we see playing out. They will hurt themselves as long as you hurt worse. I don't mind hurting my people. or the people that I said that I would be loyal to, long as I can hurt you just a little, and I'll be willing to hurt as long as you hurt more. Like this whole attitude is all centered in fragility. It is fragility at its best. This idea that I've run for this office and now I don't have to be accountable to you. I don't have to listen to you. Or we're not going to hold a town hall where I have to face the people that I made these promises to. All of that
Mm,
ties into this insecurity and this
everything. Yeah,
emasculation,
yeah,
right? Because,
yeah.
whereas we have to face our people 10 toes, we have to look at them and be like, hell, they came after Obama so hard over Obamacare. And I love Obama was like, you're right, it's not a good plan, but if y'all got a
It's
better
something.
one,
It's something,
y'all
right?
got a better. I've opened up the lines for both parts
And
to talk about this, and we
they
can't come to
never
nothing
had.
else.
They
So,
never
I,
did.
if y'all got a better idea, let's talk about it. Oh, crickets, then, right? Crickets. And you see, they'll come after their own just to
Yeah.
hurt us.
Oh, gosh,
Let me tell you
yeah.
something. I mean, look, we love Uncle Joe for a lot of different reasons, but he was Uncle Joe. Well,
Mhm.
he in the millionaire club too. He's in the good old boy club too. So now y'all done turned your back on him
Yeah.
too. So
Yeah.
if you cut his throat, what you think they're gonna do to ours?
All right, we got
I
look,
know.
look,
I'm
look,
sorry.
look. If we're looking at some studies, there are some statistics. I think you have,
Yes.
you see it? Yeah.
Yes. So, according to a 2020 study, Black women are more likely to aspire to leadership than their white counterparts, but significantly less likely to be promoted, while white men are 3.5 times more likely to be in executive roles than Black women.
And that's the truth. That is the truth. That is the truth. It's not just about skill. It's
No,
about that perception,
the
right?
perception.
The way white masculinity is protected, it is excused
Mm,
and fast tracked, right? Even when, look, we all say the receipts don't line up.
listen, listen. And when we speak up about it or we are vocal about it, we're labeled as difficult. We're aggressive. You're not a team player. You don't know how to play the game and all that
Angry
kind of
black
crap.
woman, angry black woman.
Angry
We're
Black
just
woman.
angry. We just
Angry
angry and
Black woman.
aggressive, and we're threatening. Because you remember, I told that story a couple weeks ago.
Whoa, whoa,
Ah,
whoa. Calm down, Kelly.
why are you
Calm
speaking up
down.
for yourself? Why?
Right. How dare
Why? You
you?
should not. You should not.
Right. Look,
Ah,
I've been pissing on your people for generations. I don't understand why you don't like it.
oh, gee, why are you different?
Why are you different?
There's another study that says 58% of Black women say they have to work twice as hard just to get recognized at the same level. And we still get passed over.
Yep. And again, at that point, you're the diversity hire, sir, because I had to work twice as hard to do more than you. So I actually
Ah,
am better. But we're not gonna
ah.
go there. So we're gonna call it what it's a broken system
Broken
that
system. Yeah.
teaches fragility can lead and strength must wait.
Child. And how many times have we talked about how long we gotta wait?
Give us free.
How long do
Come
we
on. We've been singing we shall overcome someday. When is someday?
well, girl.
When is by and by?
Honey, ooh, that's the episode.
When is the meek gonna inherit the earth? When
Ah,
is the last gonna be first and the first shall be last? When?
child.
When?
Oh, when?
When?
And I have to say, we always say Black people are not monolith. White people are not. We know that we have allies in white males and we have allies in white females. We know that.
Just as we
So
have enemies in black males and black females. We know that as
absolutely.
well. We know that as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're definitely not grouping all together, but these are the experiences that we have been a part of, have witnessed. We can definitely say that we have seen our friends, our family go through some of the similar experiences. So this episode may have ruffled some feathers.
Yeah.
Look, it definitely continues to ruffle out.
Listen,
We will
we
always
yeah,
have an issue with it.
we will
Always have an issue with it.
always. And when we critique white male fragility from the black female's perspective, we're confronting long-standing power structures,
Woo.
and that in itself is controversial.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the systemic infrastructure that has been in place since the beginning of time.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
we are in a polarized climate, right? Political climate.
Yes.
Woo! Trumpism. We know that he did not invent bigotry, but he sure gave it the bullhorn,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Ah,
Yes.
honey, people
Yes.
are emboldened. Look, that's my word,
Yes.
emboldened these
Emboldened.
days.
Yes. Yes.
Criticism, especially from us, can be seen as threatening, or, honey, there was an old white Republican who said this: reverse racism. They are going through reverse racism, sir. Sir,
But I think it's now appropriate for me to hold this up.
I'm scared. Oh, come on, Ellie. Look, Ellie Mastal, if you ever happen to
You
see
ever
this little
this
old podcast,
and you just feel like doing some community service or some pro bono testifying, we would love to have you,
look,
sir.
look, what we need to say is, honey, we are two huge fans.
Two huge fans.
Yes, yes,
Let me tell you
yes.
something. I bought this book twice, okay? Because I told sis, I was like, I have to have it in my hand so I can make my notes. But I also needed to buy it on Audible so he could read it to me.
You're right, right.
Because that's just what I needed in my life. Because let me tell you something. But this is what we're talking about, these
Yeah,
antiquated systems, a system where the laws that were created to oppress us, we are now expecting to keep us free. It's not
honey.
going to happen. It's not going to happen. Uh,
Woo!
but Ellie,
Ellie,
he said Ellie that rhymes with jelly and Miss All that rhymes with Crystal. If you ever see this, sir,
right,
we love, we would love to have. Maybe we can get.
honey.
Uh,
Listen,
we're gonna manifest to where we can be able to afford.
that book in and of
Listen,
itself
listen.
is a
It's something.
whole, it's about
It's
5
something.
episodes of that
Right.
because,
And back
woo,
to this, right? It's not about being anti anyone. It's about
yes,
being pro truth. And our truth deserves space too. And we
it
can't even
deserves
have
it,
the
boo.
expectation when, again, the rules that were meant to exclude us and keep us bound are now the rules that we are expecting and absurdly surprised when they don't cover us and don't protect us. It was never about us
It
anyway.
was
We need a
never
redo.
for us.
We need a redo.
Honey, busted up,
Break these systems apart,
busted up.
restructure them. Look, not the way this administration is doing it,
Right, right. Like I said
but they
last
do need to
week,
be redone. They
they
do need to be
do
redone.
need to be busted
Yeah.
up into pieces and redone with everybody's voice.
Everybody's voice.
Everybody's
Everybody's voice. And
we
that's what one
can't.
of the things Ellie was talking about, this
Yes,
idea that he loves, I think it was South African Constitution, where he
yes,
was talking about when they redid it, they were like, no, we're not going to redo it with the same groups of people. We need everybody's collective
everybody's voice.
input.
Everybody's voice. Yeah,
Everybody's voice
yes,
matters. And our
yes.
truth deserves space
We
too.
we deserve, we deserve space. You just get so tired. You think about our children, you think about our children's children who are growing up into this. Where do they fit in?
Yeah.
And how do we teach them to be able to fit in a world that was not designed for
For
them?
them. Sounds like that's what we're talking about next week, sis. How we raise these children in this divided world. Like, it's so crazy. And then we get mad when they don't want to fight.
Oh,
We're gonna talk about that. We'll talk about
okay. All
it. Yeah.
right. Why is it necessary is our question, because our lived experience matters.
So,
Because injustice thrives in silence, and because fragility, when left unchecked, can be dangerous. And we're seeing this play out in real
real time.
life.
Yes, yes. And this is interesting because when I would be teaching, I would always try to offer my students a safe space. And I realized that there's some limits to that, right? But what
Yeah.
we do want to create brave spaces. And so maybe,
Mm.
because we can't say who's going to hear this and who's going to say what and who's going to have something to say. but we can offer this brave space, not this shock jock content, but a call to reflect, a moment
Yeah.
to unpack, and maybe even awaken something in someone who never thought to question the status quo. Because as I like to tell my students, change comes from other people like us who are like, why are we marching off this cliff?
Right.
Because the generation before us said, well, I don't want to fall. Right? That's what awakens change. Someone just being
Yeah.
bold enough to get out of the line and say, yeah, I'm gonna do
Not
something
on this.
different.
Right.
Y'all can miss me with this.
Yes.
So we're hoping that we
Yes.
awaken that
Yes.
in someone hears this and feels empowered and emboldened to
Yes.
do something to make some real change.
Yes. Yes. All right. So you talked about your classroom.
Right.
So now we're going to class. So what is your journal prompt? Because I know you have one.
I do. So as you write, look, as your friends, as you're in your meditation time and your prayer time this week, we want you to consider a time when you were overlooked or undervalued in a professional or personal setting. What
Mm-hmm.
assumptions do you believe were made about you? How did that experience shape your voice, your confidence, or your pain?
Hmm.
Oh, that's kind of heavy. That's kind of
Mm.
heavy.
Mm.
But you can,
That undervalued, honey.
and professional is bad enough, but personal can be worse.
Oh.
Those personal overlooks can be a lot worse, for sure. So,
Oh my gosh. This is
yeah.
just come on, y'all. Come on, come on. We want to hear from you. Did this episode resonate? Have you trained your boss? Have you ever been overlooked? Have you felt unseen? We want to hear from you. If this has ever happened to you or something similar, email us. We want to hear from you. Like, really, we want to hear from you. info@mikesmomsmayhem.com. Or there's a place located on our website that you can also comment at mikesmomsmayhem.com. If this episode was something for you, or if somebody else needs to hear it, share it with somebody. Because this is a heavy one.
It's a heavy one. It's
This
heavy.
is
Yeah.
woo!
This make you get mad and then you go to the store to try to get you something to cook for dinner and see certain people and you want to fight. That's what this is. But we're
That
not gonna do
means
that.
right. That means you order from home. Order from
Right.
home. Order from home.
This look, think about this, write about it in your journal and stay at home, right? But we're gonna stop hiding our hurt.
Yes.
And we're gonna start honoring it, right? So
Yes.
as you write about it, sit with it, speak from it, and let's grow from it for
Yes,
sure.
yes, and we
For
will
sure.
continue to use this platform,
Mhm.
however small, as it continues to grow. We're going to use this platform as a way to continue to talk about it, but honor it, not hide from it any longer. We did not have the words 20 years ago, but we do now. And so we're going to use those words. We're going to use our voice. We're going to speak up about it, because somebody who is not able to say it or who does not have the voice, hopefully we can be that voice for you. So follow us on Instagram, on Facebook. We have a wonderful YouTube channel that's really vibrant, that it continues to grow each week. You can listen to us on any of the podcast stations, Spotify, Amazon Music. We are also on iHeartRadio. We're going to continue to beef up our Substack. We have a lot of things in store eventually down the road that will be for our subscribers. We're going to have paid memberships coming up very soon that only our paid subscribers will be able to see and be able to follow us. We're going to have some live
Let me tell
podcasts.
you something. Because y'all know TT can be reckless in the mouth. So I'm looking forward
Of
to the
course, she's
live.
look.
Let's do a live. Let's
I
just
have to
do it.
stifle her
Let's
for our
listen.
recordings, but the live, I'm just gonna let her fly free. I'm gonna let her
Watch, you gonna have to let me cook. What she say? Let me cook. Let her
I'm
cook.
gonna let her
Let her
cook.
cook.
I'm gonna let her
Let her
cook.
cook.
So if you are interested in that, run over to our Substack. Go ahead and subscribe because we want to start getting your emails. We're going to start sending out newsletters that will be able to give you all the updates of the upcoming episodes, but specifically our lives. I don't think you want to miss those because, oh my gosh, those are going to get a little crazy, a little crazy.
It's gonna be like church. Whoever in the number, whether it's 2 or 3 gathered or 35, we're gonna go there. We're gonna go there. So
Yes, 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 yes. All right, so let's end on out. So hit subscribe, leave a review, tell a family, tell your friends about Mike's, Moms, and Mayhems, but don't forget your foes because everyone needs a little mayhem in their life, including
that's right.
them. So keep
That's right.
showing up, keep speaking up, and
Mhm.
remember, it may be controversial, but it's also courageous. And that's what we are about. Until next time, keep the mics loud, the mom life real, and embrace the mayhem. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.